Hey everyone, ready to jump into something kind of huge? AI. It's everywhere you look these days, right? But honestly, a lot of the advice out there, it feels like it's aimed at like giant companies or people who want to build AI from scratch.
Yeah, it can definitely feel like you need a PhD just to understand the basics.
Totally. So this deep dive, it's for, well, the rest of us. The creators, the entrepreneurs, the people who just want to work with AI, not necessarily become AI experts.
Exactly. It's for those of us who want to leverage AI to, do cool things, be more creative, maybe build a business without getting bogged down in the technical weeds.
And that's where this source material comes in. RicOS Playbook, AI edition. Unburdened AI for creators. The title kind of says it all, doesn't it? Unburdened AI. That sounds pretty appealing.
Definitely does. And it gets right to the heart of what we're talking about here. This playbook, it's specifically for people like us, those who want to use AI without having to become AI gurus.
So let's dig into this unburdened mindset thing. What does that actually mean? Like, practically speaking.
Well, it means not getting stuck in the old ways of doing things. Instead of thinking, how can I use AI to automate what I'm already doing? It's more like, what completely new possibilities does AI open up?
So it's not just about doing things faster, it's about doing completely different things.
Exactly. It's about thinking bigger, bolder. It's about breaking free from those old mental models that might be holding us back.
It's like AI isn't just a faster horse, it's a completely new way to travel.
I love that. A perfect analogy. It really highlights the need to, shift our perspective, change how we think about problems altogether.
Now, this playbook has this interesting cyclical approach. Learn, evaluate, improve.
Hmm.
That sounds pretty intuitive, but how does that differ from how we usually learn new things?
I think traditionally a lot of us focus on finding the right answer, the perfect solution, study the manual, follow the steps. But with AI, it's more, well, it's more experimental. You try things out, you see what happens, you learn from it, and you adjust as you go.
It's less about reaching a specific destination and more about like embracing the journey.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings us to another important idea. The playbook really hammers home mindset over tools.
Yeah, the source material is pretty adamant about that. Why is mindset so important when it comes to working with AI?
Well, because just tacking on AI to your existing workflow, it's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. You might get some results, but you're missing the real potential.
Can you give us an example of what this like mindset trap actually looks like?
Sure, imagine a graphic designer who's always, meticulously crafted logos by hand. They hear about AI image generation and think, great, now I can churn out logos 10 times faster. So they feed the AI their existing style guides, their briefs, basically trying to speed up their current process.
But they're still stuck in that old way of thinking, even though they're using this new tool.
Exactly. The results might be technically fine, but they're going to lack that spark, that genuine creativity that AI can actually unlock. Now imagine that same designer, but this time they're approaching AI with a sense of curiosity. They're experimenting with new prompts, styles, things they wouldn't normally even consider.
They're letting the AI surprise them.
Yeah. Instead of just replicating what they already do, they're using AI to, open up new possibilities, explore new creative directions.
It's about using AI to make their creativity even better, not replace it entirely.
That's a great way to put it. And it leads us to this really intriguing idea from the playbook. It says that sometimes expertise can actually be a handicap when it comes to AI.
Wait, really? Isn't expertise usually a good thing? How could it hold us back here?
Well, expertise, it often comes with a lot of ingrained assumptions, certain ways of thinking, and those can be great in some situations. But in a field like AI, which is constantly evolving, those assumptions can actually make us blind to new possibilities.
So our experience becomes like a filter that prevents us from seeing the full potential of AI.
Exactly. We're so used to doing things a certain way that we don't even realize there might be a better, more innovative way to do it. AI forces us to question those assumptions and, kind of embrace a beginner's mindset.
It's almost like we need to unlearn as much as we learn when it comes to AI. That's pretty mind-blowing. Now, the playbook is big on experimentation, which makes sense, given what we've been talking about. For our listeners who are like, okay, I'm ready to dive in, what are some practical ways they can start experimenting with AI today, even if they don't have, a tech background?
Well, there are tons of incredible resources available now that are super user-friendly. You could try out some free AI tools like, image generators or writing assistants. Most of these require zero coding experience.
So the barrier to entry is actually lower than a lot of people might think.
Oh, for sure. The key is to start small, have fun, and don't be afraid to mess up. Think of it as playing with a new toy.
I love that framing. It takes the pressure off. Now, we've talked a lot about the mindset part, but let's get into some actual tools. What are some specific AI tools that our listeners, creators, entrepreneurs might find really useful?
That's a great question, and it's a perfect segue into the next part of our deep dive, where we'll explore some specific tools and techniques you can start using right away.
All right, so before we jumped into this next part, we were getting ready to explore some actual AI tools, because it's one thing to talk about mindset, but I know our listeners are probably itching to know, what can I actually use this stuff for?
Yeah, let's get specific.
Perfect. So where should we start?
Well, one area where AI is already having a huge impact is writing. AI writing assistants are becoming super popular, and for good reason.
Yeah, I've definitely heard about those. But honestly, when I think AI writing, I kind of picture those like slightly robotic marketing emails you sometimes get.
Right, I get it. The early AI writing tools, they were, pretty clunky. But the technology has advanced so much. These days, AI writing assistants can help you with everything from brainstorming blog post ideas to polishing up your grammar and tone.
So like, imagine using an AI tool to summarize those super long research reports you have to read. You get the key insights without having to spend hours poring over every single page.
Exactly. It's not about replacing human writers. It's about, augmenting our abilities and making us more efficient.
For someone who's never used an AI writing assistant, where would they even begin?
There are so many options out there now. Some popular ones include Jasper, Copy.ai, and even free tools like ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT. I've heard that name everywhere
That's for
lately.
sure. But yeah, the key is to kind of experiment and find what works best for you and your, writing style.
And how about for visual content? Earlier we were talking about AI image generation. Are there other tools out there for creating images or even videos using AI?
Definitely. Midjourney and DALL-E 2, they're incredible tools for generating crazy detailed images. You just type in what you want to see, and the AI creates it.
It's like having your own personal digital artist.
Pretty much. But I'm also curious about video, because I'm a very visual person. Are there AI tools for video creation?
Video is definitely more complex, but yeah, there are some cool tools emerging. Synthesia and Runway ML, for example. They're making it easier to create really high-quality videos using AI.
What kind of videos can you create with these tools?
Well, they can be great for things like explainer videos, product demos, even short animated films.
The possibilities are kind of mind-boggling, but it's easy to get overwhelmed with so many choices. Any advice on how to navigate this landscape?
Yeah, I'd say start with maybe one or two tools that really align with your current needs. Like if you're a blogger, focus on an AI writing assistant. If you're a visual artist, dive into an image generation tool. Don't try to learn everything at once.
Good advice. Start small. Stay focused. Now, going back to the RicOS Playbook for a second, it mentions that our own expertise can sometimes be a problem when it comes to AI. Why is that?
Yeah, it's almost like a paradox, isn't it? We think of expertise as a good thing, but in the case of AI, being too attached to what we already know can make us resistant to new ways of doing things.
It's like that saying, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. We get so used to our old tools and processes that we miss out on the potential of AI to completely change the game.
So how do we avoid falling into that expertise trap?
By cultivating what's called a beginner's mindset. Approach AI with, curiosity, humility, and a willingness to be wrong. Don't be afraid to experiment, even if it means making mistakes. Actually, those failures are often the best learning experiences.
It's about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Like being okay with not knowing all the answers right away.
Exactly. The learning process with AI, it can be messy. Embrace the uncertainty. Allow yourself to be surprised by what you discover.
That really connects back to what the RicOS Playbook calls the learn, evaluate, improve cycle. Can you remind us what that is again?
Sure. It's all about embracing that continuous loop of experimentation and feedback. So you start by, learning about a new AI tool or technique, then you actually try it out and see what happens. Then you take a step back, evaluate what worked, what didn't, what surprised you, and based on that, you adjust your approach and try again.
And that applies not just to the technical stuff, but also to our own, mental models and approaches.
Right.
As we experiment with AI, we're also learning about ourselves, our own creative process.
Yeah, that's a really important point. We're not just learning about the technology, we're learning about our own biases or limitations and also, our hidden potential. It's a journey of self-discovery as much as it is about mastering a new tool.
It sounds like working with AI is as much about personal growth as it is about technological advancement. This all ties back to that idea of the unburdened mindset, letting go of those preconceived notions, being open to new ways of thinking and creating.
Yes. Unburdened AI, it's so much more than just using tools. It's about using those tools to unlock new possibilities, to really push creative boundaries, and ultimately to become, more effective, more innovative, and more fulfilled in our work.
So how do we take all this theory and translate it into action? What are some steps our listeners can take to, cultivate that unburdened mindset and actually start integrating AI into their work and their lives?
That's what we'll explore in part 3.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of unburdened AI. And I think now that we've laid the groundwork in terms of like mindset and tools, we can finally talk about how to actually put these ideas into practice in your own life.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that we've kind of got the theory down, let's talk about, getting tactical. How can listeners actually embrace this unburdened approach to AI?
What are some like tangible steps our listeners can take?
The first step is, it might seem obvious, but it's super important. Identify an area in your work or your life where you feel burdened. Like think about tasks. You just dread processes that feel clunky, or maybe areas where you just feel like you're spinning your wheels.
So it's about pinpointing those places where our old ways of thinking and working are actually holding us back.
Exactly. And once you've identified that burden, that's where the magic really starts to happen. Ask yourself, could AI help me approach this differently? Could it offer like a fresh perspective or a solution I haven't even thought of?
It's like we're turning those challenges into opportunities for innovation. Those pain points become like springboards for exploring new
Yes,
possibilities.
exactly. And then the next step is to, start small. Don't feel like you need to like completely overhaul your entire workflow overnight. Just choose one specific problem or task and start experimenting with how AI could help you address it.
I can see how starting small would make the whole thing feel less overwhelming. But do you have any tips on how to pick that first AI experiment?
That's a good question. It really depends on your specific needs and goals, but one approach is to think about tasks that are really repetitive or time-consuming. Are there things you're doing manually that could potentially be automated or streamlined using AI?
Things like data entry, scheduling appointments, or even like transcribing audio. I can definitely see how AI would be a game changer for those kinds of tasks.
Exactly. And remember, experimentation is key. Try out different tools, play around with different approaches, and see what happens. Don't be afraid to make mistakes or even, fail completely. Those failures are actually valuable data points that can help you refine your approach.
It's like those failures are actually just stepping stones on the path to figuring out what works.
Exactly. And as you're experimenting, document your process, take notes on what worked, what didn't, and what surprised you. This will help you develop a deeper understanding of how AI can best serve your unique needs.
It's about treating it as an ongoing learning journey, not just a one-time fix.
Yes. And just as importantly, don't go it alone. There's this amazing community of, creators, entrepreneurs, AI enthusiasts out there who are eager to share their knowledge and experience.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget the power of community. It's so valuable to connect with others who are on a similar journey.
Totally. Join online forums, participate in discussions, and learn from others who are also, exploring this world of unburdened AI.
Wow, so many great insights today. As we wrap up our deep dive into this topic, any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are feeling inspired to embrace this unburdened approach to AI?
I'd just say approach AI with a sense of curiosity and playfulness. Remember, it's a tool, not a master. You're in control.
We're using AI to enhance our human capabilities, not the other way around.
Exactly. And as you experiment and explore, don't forget to, have fun along the way. That's what unburdened AI is all about.
To all our listeners out there, we encourage you to dive into the world of AI with an open mind and a spirit of adventure. Don't let fear or lack of technical expertise hold you back. Embrace the unburdened mindset experiment. Learn and discover the incredible possibilities that are out there.
Who knows, you might even uncover hidden talents and passions you never knew you had.
That's a great thought. So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.